In this video, we're going to talk about the 4 executive orders that President Trump is using as a result of the failed stimulus package negotiations. But before we do, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, certified financial planner, helping you reach your financial goals. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is the payroll tax cuts. Now, this is not a cut, this is a deferment. So in the previous video, I said it was a cut because that was what was reported, but it's actually a deferment at this point. Now, President Trump did say that if he gets elected in November, that he will move to get rid of those payroll tax, so that deferment will actually become an abolishment of the payroll tax. The criteria are those that earn $104,000 or less. And as it's written in this memo on the White House or at the whitehouse.gov, it says payable during any biweekly pay period generally is less than $4,000 calculated on a pre-tax basis, or the equivalent amount with respect to other pay periods. So that works out to $104,000 per year or less. Then you'll get a boost in your paycheck and a deferment on payroll taxes. And this is deferred without penalties, interest, additional amounts, or addition to the tax. Now, it's unclear why President Trump just didn't go ahead and get rid of the payroll tax for the rest of 2020, possibly as an incentive to vote for President Trump or as a political ploy to vote for President Trump in order to get those taxes or the payroll taxes completely washed away if he gets elected. In any case, the payroll taxes are going to be deferred for the rest of 2020. The second one on the list is student loans. So the memo is pretty straightforward. It's basically saying that student loans are getting the pause button. So there's going to be no accrual of interest or no penalties if you don't make those payments for the rest of 2020. And it reads as providing such deferments to borrowers as necessary to continue the temporary cessation of payments and the waiver of all interest on student loans held by the Department of Education until December 31st, 2020. So that is the extension of the student loan payment relief. Third on the list is assistance to renters and homeowners. And it's really interesting how they're getting this part done. They're basically saying that you can't get evicted because if you get evicted from your house, you might catch COVID-19. That's what they're saying. So I'm going to read exactly what it says because that's what I'm taking away from this. That's how they're doing it. They're saying the Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Director of CDC shall consider whether any measures temporarily halting residential evictions of any tenants for failure to pay rent are reasonably necessary to prevent the further spread of COVID-19 from one state or possession into any other state or possession. In addition, for the payment side of it, the Secretary of the Treasury and the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development shall identify any and all available federal funds to provide temporary financial assistance to renters and homeowners who, as a result of the financial hardship caused by COVID-19, are struggling to meet their monthly rental or mortgage obligations. Now, it's really unclear how that's going to get implemented. That is one of the most broad pieces or memos of the 4, where it just says we're going to provide assistance, but it's not really clear who's going to get the assistance. So let's say you're a landlord and your tenant is not making the payments. It's unclear how you're going to collect. Whether or not you're going to go to the federal government or whether or not you're going to go to your tenant and demand they go to the federal government to get those payments to make you whole as a landlord. It's really unclear how that's going to actually work out. And the fourth one is for unemployment. So it's the $400. Now, $300 of that is coming directly from the federal government. The additional $100 is going to be supported by the state. And there are 2 places that they're getting the money or the additional money to support this program. And it's coming from the Coronavirus Relief Fund, the CRF as they're calling it here. And it says there's an additional $80 billion, that's billion with the B, of CRF dollars remaining available. And then they're also saying that the Department of Homeland Security's Disaster Fund, and they're calling that the DRF, so that's Disaster Relief Fund, has more than $70 billion in emergency assistance funding available. So those are the 2 areas that they're going after to divert that to additional unemployment or federal unemployment assistance. And it says, I am directing up to $44 billion from the DRF at the statutorily mandated 75% federal cost share be made available for lost wages assistance to eligible claimants. And then for the state allocation, I am calling on states to use amounts allocated to them out of the CRF. So that was the Coronavirus Relief Fund. And what I've seen a lot of questions on the unemployment is, when is this going to be actually instituted? Is it retroactive? And it appears that it is retroactive, because here it's saying that which shall reflect a $300 federal contribution to eligible claimants from the week of unemployment ending August 1st, 2020. So August 1st was the day after all the funds ran out, which was July 31st. So it looks like it's going to be retroactive. So for that missed week, it'll be an additional $400. And it sounds like this will go until the balance of the DRF reaches $25 billion, or for weeks of unemployment ending not later than December 6th, 2020, whichever occurs first. Or of course, until they have another deal. So it's in there. Once they get another relief package or stimulus package signed that takes care of the unemployment, then it will replace this $400. So if it gets replaced with something more or less, it sounds like it will replace this program. Now, there's still a ton of questions on how fast this is going to get implemented, but since the negotiations broke down yesterday and we got these 4 memos today signed by President Trump for the executive order, that's pretty quick timing to get this stuff in motion as a result of the House and the Senate not being able to figure it out. Now, going back to the unemployment, I don't see how it's going to be less unless they run out of money and then a new bill has to get put into place to support the unemployment, because the Democrats don't want anything less than 600. So they're certainly not going to agree to something less than the 400 until that money runs out. And with the assistance to renters and homeowners, it's really unclear on how that funding is going to be distributed to support anybody financially. It sounds like it's just going to prevent evictions going forward, which really doesn't solve the problem, but it's a step in the right direction. Now, let me know in the comments down below what you think of President Trump's executive orders, the 4 memos that I just went over. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.